Matthew chapter 18, here we've got this lovely parable of Jesus about the lost sheep. Now, many of his parables have got an element of unreality to them. That is, they appear at first blush as homely stories using familiar ideas, but then they include an element that is unreal or unusual. And you've got that here in this little story. What do you think? Jesus says. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? And if he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the wish of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. Well, 1% loss, one sheep out of 100, is fair enough. It's what shepherds in mountain areas expect. And so the question is, does a normal shepherd make all this effort for just one sheep? And does he really rejoice over the sheep he finds rather than scolds it? The answer to that is no, he doesn't. In fact, he considers 1% loss to be quite okay, just one of those things. The parable therefore becomes more what I'd call the parable of the fanatic, unusual shepherd. The idea, of course, is that each and every person matters to God. He doesn't just shrug his shoulders that one is lost. And we see here the value and the meaning of the human person. Each person is important. We should never just shrug our shoulders at the loss of a person. We should be deeply moved by the loss of anyone. If someone loses their faith, becomes a sheep which goes astray, then we should be deeply concerned about this. Write to them, call them, try to talk with them. Don't just shrug and consider it's their fault. Now, church life is good, but one problem with it is that we can tend to just focus upon those who actually attend the physical church. There are so many lost sheep out there, and every one of them is important to God, and they should therefore be important to us. God doesn't want people to perish, and yet he works to save them through some human mechanism, and that human mechanism is us. If you give your life, your heart, your soul to saving people, to saving sheep from perishing, you'll find that you're doing the will of God and Jesus. You'll feel their presence with you, and you'll then know this wonderful joy of finding a lost sheep, and you will share in the joy that is going on in heaven.